Real talk, man. Real spit. The question is, it's Monday, y'all. Another week, a week down, another week coming up. Monday, it's April. Time is flying fast. As you can see, whether you're watching this live or whether you're watching this on the replay, the question of my video, as I take my morning walk, my run, a little bit of both, is the question is, where has being safe, being healthy, well, not healthy, where has playing it safe, playing by all the rules, and being moral in this capitalistic society, where has it led you? You see that woman right there? You can see this woman right here. She lives right there. That's where she lives. And and I don't want to get her on video, but every morning I see that woman laying right there on the corner. And as I ask that question, as I pose that question again, where has being safe, playing by the rules, and living morally gotten her in this capitalistic society? Whereas you can see, it's gotten her living on the street, sleeping on the corner in her elderly years, smoking a cigarette, right? And she's not on drugs. I sometimes stop. I sometimes stop and talk to that woman, and she doesn't appear to be uh, there because she's dealing with an addiction. Um, she appears to be in her right, I would say, in her right state of mind. But there she is in her elderly years, sleeping on a corner, smoking a cigarette. And so I say to myself, what's the point in this capitalistic society of playing it by the rules, living safe, and living morally when all we see in this capitalistic world, in this capitalistic society, is that the good people are the ones that suffer, that live in poverty, that live in want, while all the evil people are the ones that get to enjoy the best of what this capitalist society has to offer. I mean, we could talk about, the Epsteins, the Bill Clintons, the Trumps, all these guys, the Rockefellers, the Bernie Madoffs, where he got caught. But if you look, the Bill Gates, all these people, do you think they got where they got by being safe and playing by the rules and living morally? No, you don't get that type of wealth in this capitalistic society by working hard and just pulling yourself up by your bootstraps. I often ask this question: who worked harder than my enslaved ancestors when they was forced to pick the cotton that built the wealth of this country, when they were forced to pick the sugar cane, to work on the plantations, beat, whipped, hanged, bred, who works harder than them? But are they reaping the benefits of their hard work? Are they extremely wealthy? Are the descendants of them extremely wealthy? No, we still begging for our 40 acres and a mule. We still begging for our reparations. And we can bring it to the present times. You know, who works harder than an immigrant, particularly a Latino immigrant, in the tomato fields picking tomatoes all day in 100-degree weather? But are they rich? Are they going to become wealthy? I mean, come on now. This is honest talk. Those people are out there in them tomato fields, bending over, breaking their backs, picking thousands of tomatoes in a 100-degree weather, and they probably making no more than 50, 60, $70 a day. And I'm pretty sure those same people go to church on Sundays, pray, pray to the sky daddy, make my situation better, make me have more money, and nothing. So as I think about all this, I say, damn, you don't get ahead in this capitalistic society by playing safe, by being good, by being moral. You don't. That's not the way to get ahead in this capitalist society. It's unfortunate, it's sad, but it seems like the only way you can get ahead financially, you're not talking about spiritually, you're not talking about, solely or that stuff. We're talking about financially. It's by doing some dirt, by cutting some corners, by stepping on some backs, by bending some rules, you know, and just don't get caught. Just don't get caught. Working a 9 to 5, going to work every day and putting your 8 hours, 9 hours into that ain't gonna get you rich. That's gonna get you just over broke. That's why it's called a job. Just over broke. Barely making it, barely getting by, working 50, 40, 50, 60 hours a week, and you still can't get ahead. Meanwhile, you got 3 to 10 people that got more wealth combined than the whole US population. Three from 3 to 10 people got more wealth combined than the whole US population. And we think, oh yeah, yeah, they got that. They got that by working hard and pulling themselves up by their bootstraps. That's BS, man. That's total BS. And this brings me to a trending topic, that is being talked about as of recently. If you don't know, if you're not on the social media streets, everybody's talking about the Pooh Shiesty and the Gucci Man situation, which was a young man who felt that him and his family, him and his peoples, his father, felt that they had to do some dirt to get out of their situation so they can have more. Because that's all it was about. It's about having more, right? So Pooh Shiesty, it wasn't like he wasn't making money being on Gucci Man's 1017 label. It wasn't like he wasn't making money on social media and performing at shows. It wasn't like he wasn't making money. But what Pooh Shiesty wanted was more. He said, Hold on. Yeah, I'm making money on the Gucci Man. Yeah, Gucci Man put me on. Yeah, if it wasn't for Gucci Man, I wouldn't be where I was at right now. I was a nobody. I was a local rapper in Memphis. I had a little buzz, but Gucci Man really put me out there. But regardless of all that, I want more because I see that if I can get away from Gucci Man, I can have more. And so what did he do? He got his I live in California. I'm in California. He got his folks together. He said, Gucci, meet me over here. Gucci, meet me somewhere in Dallas. Gucci said, okay, cool. We about to, record. We about to do some work. And then when he showed up, he held he held Gucci and the security at gunpoint, AK-47s in hand, and said, "You gonna sign me out of my contract right now so I can go and get more." And Gucci signed him out of his contract. But unfortunately, because the young man wasn't thinking properly, everything was on camera. Gucci Man, he knew, had a off-duty police officer as a security. And so basically, he's landed right back where he just came from. He just had a brief little vacation on the outs. Now he's back in because he wants more. Now he wasn't playing safe when he did that. If he would have got away, if he would have got away, and let's say, he did what he did, there was no witnesses, there was nobody to corroborate the story of what happened, then he would have had more. Because if Gucci is sticking to the street code that he came from, then Gucci ain't gonna snitch. And so it would have never been found out that Pooh Shiesty held a AK-47 to Gucci's head and forced him to sign out a contract. The same thing that happened, I guess he was looking at the same thing that happened with the Suge Knight and Easy E situation in regards to in regards to Dr. Dre. Easy E never told or never disclosed that happened to him, and that's how Dre got out of the record deal with Ruthless Records and signed with Death Row. But maybe because Easy E knew that he was still getting 20% of everything that Dr. Dre was going to do. So that's probably why he wasn't tripping as much, right? But the whole point of the whole point of why I brought this up is because Pooh Shiesty felt if I do dirt, I can get ahead. And he's right. If he would have gotten, if he would have not got caught, he probably would have got ahead. And then I think about another thing that I just watched, which was it's being talked about too, is the Big Meech interview. The Big Meech, if you guys don't know, Big Meech was a big time kingpin, drug pen, whatever you want to call him, back in the early 2000s. And he had this crew called the BMF, which is the Black Mafia family. And Big Meech and his brother Terry were moving a lot of weight. They were moving a lot of weight. And eventually, uh, Big Meech and Terry got caught. But this is the thing: as I'm watching Big Meech's interview, uh, what I see, bro, help her. What are you talking about? As I watch, as I'm watching Big Meech's interview, what was important to me to understand is that Big Meech didn't get caught with any drugs. Big Meech didn't get caught with any weapons. Big Meech didn't even get caught with any bodies on him. Big Meech got caught because of people talking. But what Big Meech said in that interview was very, it was very, it was very telling to me. And what he said was, he served time for the times that he didn't get caught because he didn't get caught with anything. If you look up his indictment, he didn't get caught with no keys. He didn't get caught with no drug. He didn't get caught with nothing. But he said, I'm paraphrasing, that he served time for the things that he got away with. And I said, how crazy is that? How crazy is that? Basically, he served time because he wasn't paying Uncle Sam his money. That's all it was about, y'all. See, all Big Meech was doing was satisfying a demand. If you take any economics class, what they tell you in Economics 1, they tell you that this economy works by supply and demand. Supply and demand. That's how this economy works. Whenever there's a demand, if you are a business owner, if you are an entrepreneur and you want to make money, your goal is to supply that demand. See, if there wasn't a demand for drugs, prescription, or narcotics, there wouldn't be a drug trade. But there is a high demand for drugs in the United States because people need drugs to cope in this effed up society. They need drugs to cope with the realities that of this capitalistic, brutal type of society that we live in. So all Big Meech was doing was satisfying a demand, no different than the doctor that prescribes you your drug, your psychotic drugs that you need to deal with your depression and all that stuff, right? But the only thing is, right, because he got the approval to do it, but Big Meech didn't get the approval to do it from the sanctioning bodies, and so that's why Big Meech ended up in this situation. But Big Meech was only supplying a demand that the people wanted, and they paid for it. And when you think about the type of drug that he was dealing, cocaine, they say that's a rich man's drug. So he was satisfying the rich, primarily the rich people. I know that the lower, they bust down the cocaine and turn it into the crack rock. But if he's selling kilos, that's a rich man's drug. That's what they always call cocaina the rich man's high, the rich man's drug, because the poor people can't afford it. So because he's supplying these rich white people and these rich white kids what they want, and he's not paying Uncle Sam, that's the problem. That's why he had to serve 20 years in prison because of that. But had Big Meech not got caught, had Big Meech never got caught and stayed low key, he probably would still be sitting on a couple 100 million right now, living the good life. And I don't see nothing wrong. I'm gonna be look, y'all gonna say this controversial. If y'all watch my channel, if y'all watch my videos, y'all gonna say, "Oh, he's he's saying it's okay to sell drugs to his people." And this, no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying this: if Big Meech is selling drugs to these rich white people, and they going through whatever they going through, taking those drugs, hey, get your money, man. I don't care. I can give two damns about what happens to those rich whitey folks, and that's just being honest, because they don't give a damn about us. They don't give a damn about the ghettos. They don't give a damn about the people in the ghetto. They don't give two damns about what's happening to us. So why should I give a damn about what's happening to them? So if Big Meech is making his money off of serving them, man, more power to you, brother. I just wish he didn't get caught. That's the only thing. And that brings me back to the beginning of this topic of what this video is about, is that it really don't pay off. It really does not pay off in this capitalistic society, in this capitalistic world that we live in, to play it safe, to play by the rules, to live morally. Because doing that is still, still gonna have you broke, still gonna have you living in a ghetto, living in poverty, or living from check to check, barely hanging on. So do what you gotta do. Do what you gotta do to get ahead. As long as you don't physically hurt other people, infringe on other people, supply demands. Supply that demand, whatever that is. And long as you don't, it's not predatory, you're not trying to hurt people, you're not trying to bring down people, you know, do what you gotta do. Because playing safe, playing by the rules, or trying to live this uprighteous moral life is not gonna get you ahead in this capitalistic society. And with that being said, make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe. This is Jay International tapping back in once again. Peace.